Okay, let's jump into it. Another 5 and 5, where I'm yeah, just basically going to breeze through 5 charts and just give 5 quick analysis of it. So start off with euro. We saw this sort of falling sort of support sort of coming last night, and this is what I was saying. If you watched yesterday's one, we had this little wedge breakout here. It obviously sort of came through the horizontal, a little bit of a fake out, exploded back to the top side. This is why we have the horizontals plus some sort of trend lines in that. If this lower sort of falling support gave way, then we'd be looking at the channel completion, we'd be looking at the next horizontal, but obviously it's sort of shot back up to the top side. Finding a little bit of resistance now coming into this sort of top side of this wedge, or what would have been the sort of channel. Also got those horizontal highs here. We get a break through here, then this is pretty much the pattern that we're looking for. Next target or price target from there is going to be 109.80. Next up, we got UJ. So one of the favorite sort of yen pairs to trade in that. We sort of called it for that sort of little bit of a toppy zone last night. We had the head and shoulders sort of coming through. Obviously came up for almost a bit of a second shoulder to the top side here, but now we're seeing it come back down. Fourth touch of this rising support. You give way of this one, then we're coming down. Maybe see some little reaction just as this sort of lower wick gets filled, but I would say it's a pretty nice little shot down to the bottom side here. Price targets that we'd be looking for would be probably coming in just around the zone over here, where we'd expect to see a little bit of a sort of action. But let's put a price target on this one. So across here at 106.10, you break through 106.10, 104.80, 144.80 is the next price target to the downside, but certainly looking like we're going to be seeing a little bit more of a drop down here. That last little push up, as you can see, didn't really have enough to sort of come up with it all. Price is almost back up to the top here, but look at how low this RSI was when it was pushing through. Definitely, I think if we take out the next week, we're going to see the push down. Okay, UCAD up next. So again, we had that sort of little sort of resistance area that we identified yesterday. We'd seen it be a sort of previous sort of little level of support, and obviously sellers were happy to come back in and push it back down from there. Real test now is where we've come through here at 1342 thereabouts, give it a pip or two and that. But this is the most previous sort of support area that we've sort of come through here. It's on warning at the moment because obviously we're seeing it start to move to the downside. RSI is set up so to support a push to the bottom side here, particularly if we see a push down to the south here. But real key, you want to get underneath this swing low area. It has broken the channel, so that puts it on warning, but the confirmation will be underneath these previous lows. Pretty nice little shot. You might get a little bit of a reaction around the small wick on the way up here, but I don't imagine it'll be enough to bring the buyers back in, and I'd be looking for 13349 for your price target. Moving on, we've got NJ. So we had New Zealand CPI month on month out this morning, and it seems to actually sort of not really affect it. It came in as expected. We've got a couple of little ranges obviously through here, but really this is just a grind range. What you want to do is just sort of wait for it to take out these tops over here at 90. I call it 91, it's a nice round number, or come through the bottom of these wicks at 89.73. I would say this is really just your sort of a bit of a sort of consolidation zone, so we're going to call it a breakout box. I think once we sort of see the move out of either side of these, we're going to see a bit more of the move. If you come out to the bottom side, which is not looking like it's going to do at the moment, you're breaking this rising trend, and I imagine it to sort of to chop through a couple of these to the downside here. You come through the top, and then we can look back over here. Price target would be those most recent highs going back into December, so up at 91.50. Finally finishing off with Euro Aussie, which is really just coming into a really sort of tight little grind here. We've got this short-term trend that has been respected quite a number of times. You can see they're trying to get it down underneath this horizontal. I think once you sort of can commit and sort of close down underneath these wicks here, so if we get a close under 1645, just call it thereabouts in that, I'd imagine we're sort of going to see a little bit of a shot to the downside moving down over here. You should see a little bit of sort of support coming around this zone, but I would say that's a nice little, what are we looking at here? 100-point move to the downside there. Remember, it is in a large downtrend channel, so it is favoring the sells at the moment, but really it is just sort of chocking up into this bottom side over here. So I think the next break is going to be quite big, but I'd say it's probably more favored to the downside. Cool, that's about it. 5 and 5.